Well, hello folks, good afternoon. What are we doing today? Well, we just got off the tractor to stretch our legs for a bit. Sasha is being annoyed by grasshoppers. There's a tremendous amount of grasshoppers in the field. Well, we're in the biggest field on the farm, 280 acres, and we're mowing for hay. We're into the second week of August now, and we're only just getting going. We've had terrific amount of rain for the last month or so, and it's just not been haymaking weather at all. What was that? Oh, Sasha has brought me a stick that's full of ants. Thank you, Sasha. I've always wanted one of those. Anyway, so for those of you who don't live on farms, I thought I'd show you the mowing machine, or the mower conditioner. Show you how she works. Well, the back of the tractor has a power takeoff shaft, and there's a removable joint there where you can hook up the mower, pull on the drill bar. Down there, if you can see that, with safety chain. I've been a very good boy today. Anyway, the drive comes along. It's 1,000 RPM into this gearbox here. There's a gearbox inside here, and then the drive goes along through this shaft via a slip clutch here into another gearbox where the drive is split. There's one drive goes down to power the knives, and the other drive is off this belt here, which then goes through another gearbox and goes down to drive the conditioning rollers, and it's all covered by a very nice guard like that. We'll go around and look at the cutting discs. It's approximately 10 feet wide, and the grass is cut by these discs here. These discs contra-rotate. Actually, they go that way. The discs themselves pivot on this bolt, and they're not actually sharp. They do have a bit of an edge, but it's very blunt, so they rely on speed to cut the grass and not the fact that they're sharp. So these machines, you always have to run them at the correct speed. You do not slow down, you keep the revs up. So for this tractor we have to run her at 1900 RPM, and that gives us 1000 RPM on the PTO shaft, which drives these discs at the correct speed. The drive comes in at the other end. You can see a universal joint there. And a short shaft goes down to the end one, and then driven by a set of gears all the way to the end here. Each of these turtles, they call these things a turtle. Each of these turtles has its own gearbox underneath, which is a bit of a pain in the arse, because then at the start of every season you have to change the oil. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 gearboxes to change. My own mower at home has one gearbox that does the whole length, so it's a lot easier to change the oil in that. But this one has all of those little ones. We've already had a breakdown. The bearing under this turtle gave way just a few days into the hay season. And when I started fixing it, I realized it had gone before. Somebody had been there before me and attempted to fix it. This one at the end takes more strain than the rest of them. It's not only has it got this tower on, which helps to scoop the long grass around, but it also takes a wider cut. If you notice, the middle ones overlap. Well, this one doesn't. It takes more of a cut on the outside, which puts more of a strain on it. So if any of them are going to go, it's going to be that one. The bearings are in the top, and they're not lubricated. These are sealed for death bearings up here. The gear goes down and meshes with a pinion gear which comes out from each gearbox to the next one. So these don't get any lubrication. They rely on the grease that they're packed with. So you've got to be very careful with them, and you have to feel for play in them. That's got a tiny bit. It's got nothing. That one's got a bit, so we'll have to keep an eye on that one. That one's good. And the way you know if the bearings are going is you put your hand on top and feel the heat. And if you can't bear to put your hand on them, they're all good so far, then you know you've got a bearing on the way out. And if you see smoke and the thing is blue, then you've definitely got a bearing gone. Anyway, after the grass is cut by these blades, the grass gets thrown between these two rollers, these crimping rollers, which are steel but with a rubber cover, a fluted rubber cover, so they crimp the stems of the grass and the alfalfa, and that brings about a faster drying, because the moisture inside the stems can get out a lot quicker. Oh, Sasha, I really love your stick. Thank you very much. I've always wanted one like that. Very good, thank you. So there we are. That's the cutting, the conditioning, and then the grass gets thrown out the back. We'll have a look at that. Well, we've got two wings where we can adjust the width of the swath that we get. And then we've got I don't know what you would call it, a lid that we can lower. I've got it set at the moment to produce a swath as close to 5 feet wide as I can get, and that's in case I don't get a chance to to rake these swaths 2 into 1 for the baler. Don't always get a chance. I'm a one-man band most of the time, and you know, if you consider the time it takes to row 2 of these into 1 and then come back with a baler, really you're just as well off baling one nice wide swath, especially if it's a thick crop. If it's a thin crop, well, yeah, then you're probably better off raking it, but you know, when there's no help available, well, you have to do your best. And a nice 5 foot wide swath like this, or as close as I can get it, dries very well, very quickly, and I've got the machine set to make the swath as uniform up, across and down, as uniform and as fluffy as possible. I could throw it higher into the air and have it more of an upturned U shape, but that doesn't really work all that good for drying or for baling. I much prefer to have this. It makes the baling a lot easier. So there we are, a little explanation about mowing, and I hope it's been of some use to you, and you know, you understand a little more about what we have to do. I've got the big monster on the mower, got the T7 on at 180 and 230 horsepower boosted. It's way more power than I need for this mower. The mower's only just over 10 feet wide. We used to have an 85 horsepower tractor on this, and it handled it just, but that tractor's long gone now. So we're on the big machine. We've only got the two tractors at the moment, and the other tractor, the T6, is on the mower. Sorry, on the baler. I prefer to have it on the baler. It's handier and closer to the ground, and I've got the wheels set out wide. They're set wider than this tractor. Yeah, it's a sunny day in August. We're about 3 weeks later than we want to be. We've had terrific thunderstorms for the last 4 or 5 weeks, I would say. Approximately, I would say, well over 12 inches of rain. kind of made up for the lack of snow, but the hay crop's not all that good in here. The far part of the field where you can see the bales was a pretty dismal crop in there, and I'm going to partition the field along that green line that you can see where the bales are, and that should give me about 80 acres in that end and 200 acres at this end, and I'm going to plough the far end and work it for the rest of the year to get rid of quackgrass, the eternal menace. And next year hopefully we'll have some wheat in there. This field is going to stay hay for one more year, and it'll get ploughed next year, and then that will go into wheat, so we get a bit of a rotation going down this end of the farm. We're approximately 2.5 miles from the farmhouse, and I'm going to organize the land in blocks so that we have all the wheat in one place, all the barley, and then the peas in another area of the farm, and then we rotate it round and round, so that we have the machinery concentrated in one spot at one particular time, doing one particular job with one particular crop. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, Sasha's found something else. She's having, she's found a bit of antler. Well, that's very nice, Sasha. Very tasty. So there we go. It's time to get back on the tractor. Hey, Sasha, you want to mount up? Sasha, you going to get back on the tractor? Sasha is molting at the moment, shedding. She's losing her black hairs and she's turning brown. This dog is constantly changing all the time. But we'd better get back to work. So there we are, haymaking in August with the T7, with a mower conditioner. Wish I had another mower on the front of this tractor, but we don't have it. So anyway, we're going to do our best. Look after yourselves and look after one another. Talk to you next time. Bye bye.